for giving us initial first thought. And as you all know, critical reading is something, or critical thinking is something that we all want in us and in our students. And we have been trying it in various ways. Each of us have our own ways of making sure our students feel critical. What I'm going to do is what I personally think as one approach which we can adopt to inculcate critical thinking, critical reading. It's our one approach. That's what I mean. Yeah. Some of you are familiar faces. Some of you have attended similar sessions in such cases. Thank for the trust again that I'm going to give something new. And I hope there will be something new that takeaways that you get. So with that, let me just begin. So critical reading. Okay, let me also give a background on this critical reading very briefly. One aspect of this comes from the idea of what we mean as educatedness. One idea of educatedness is one aspect. I'm not saying the entire. One aspect is being able to evaluate any knowledge that is given to us critically. That is one aspect of education. That's how I see it. And it is from that this critical reading and critical thinking ideas come. And most of the material that I'm going to show here is from Think. Think is a group of volunteers headed by Professor Mohanan and Thara Mohanan, theoretical linguists transformed into disciplineless, transdisciplinary people who study academic epistemology, how knowledge is constructed, and so on. So it is my association with them is what made certain things clear to me, and what I'm going to give you here is an outcome of that. And what the way we have structured is, I'm not going to give a monologue lecture. Maybe for the first 10 minutes, it may be like a lecture, but then it is going to be interactive. And in the process, I'm also going to learn. You're also, maybe you will bring in a new, different perspective. So I'm open to this thing, and we necessarily have to have this very interactive for us to learn from each other. So that's a brief outline. So, so as I said, critical reading, what I mean is, it is a critical evaluation of a text. So a critical evaluation of the claim in a text. So any text that we read, primarily I'm restricting myself as of now. No, it's not academic, but any text that we read, any newspaper article that we read, any simple sentence that we read is trying to convey something to us, or it is trying to convince us of something. So the question is, do we blindly accept it? Can we evaluate it and then accept it? So this is the entire idea. And Dr. Pillai had a question during the registration itself. Is critical reading necessary? Why not skimming through and all that? I totally agree with you that those things are essential, except that it is not in today's session. So skimming through and enjoying poetry does not involve critical thinking, obviously, right? And simple light story reading does not necessarily involve critical thinking, may involve, but not necessarily. So there are texts that do not always require critical thinking. But in certain cases where somebody is trying to convince us, this is what you need to believe, then that is where we need to exercise our critical faculty, because they are asking us to believe something that they are saying. Now, why should I believe that person? Right? So what are the evidence and arguments that that person has? And why, and is it agreeable for me so that I can believe that? Right? So this forms part of our knowledge system. So this is the genesis, and this is something that we need to develop, cultivate in our students as well. At least that's what I believe, that we do not, so the students should not blindly believe whatever is being said, even if it is in the textbook. Some of you might disagree with me, but that is still okay. You can disagree. But I still say, even things that are said in the textbook for that matter, standard textbooks that we follow, they don't tell us why we have to believe that. So for instance, DNA is the genetic material. People just say it is a genetic material. Most of the molecular biology textbooks, unless you go for some advanced textbooks, they simply say, DNA is a genetic material and evolution has happened. Darwin's theory of evolution is true. Now, nobody gives you the arguments of why that is true. Textbooks. And what we are doing is we are teaching the same to the students, and students are just taking it. So this is nothing different than blind faith, in my opinion. There is a textbook, some authority has said this is true, and we are just taking it for granted because that authority says. Without evaluating, without getting into the evidence or arguments as to why it is true. Why should I believe that, let's say, example, evolution is true? Is it because Darwin said? But what are the arguments did Darwin have? Can I evaluate the arguments? And can I come to my own conclusion that, yes, this is the argument, and based on this argument, I also conclude the same as what Darwin said. Or maybe we will disagree. Maybe there is a flaw in Darwin's argument. We can disagree. And that is essential. That disagreement is essential for progress, academic progress. Right? So what started as an academic endeavor where we want to push the critical reading in critical thinking in students, particularly in research, then we stepped back and saw that this is not just enough. This is not just pertaining to academic progress, but even for our daily life, this kind of critical thinking in many cases are essential. Not in all cases, in many cases, it may be essential. So this is also kind of a background. And so what I mean is critical evaluation of the claim in a text. So very briefly, because this is a heterogeneous audience, and I thought I'll start with the very basics. Some of you may be familiar with it. I'll start with what is a claim. Claim in any statement. It's nothing but the truth of the statement. So if we say quicksort is the best sorting algorithm, so we are claiming that this algorithm is the best. Right? So that is a claim that this statement is making. Now it has to be substantiated with evidence and arguments. This is not something that is totally unfamiliar to us. As academicians, seasoned researchers, we are familiar to this process, except that now I will try to sensitize something which you may be aware of or maybe not aware of. I do not know. But anyway, I thought we will do it. And we have some PhD scholars as well, and I hope that is useful for them as well. So these are some of the examples of what we mean as claim. The truth of a statement. So Earth goes round the sun. That's the truth of a statement. DNA is the material responsible for inheritance of trait. That is a claim that is being made. And what we are interested, as I said, is in evaluating this claim. What are the premises and what are the reasoning process that goes into making this claim? This is our enterprise for today. So let me take a simple example, which is something that we would all be familiar with in a prosecution lawyer making the claim that the accused is guilty. So the prosecution lawyer is saying that the accused is guilty. So that is the claim that the prosecution lawyer is making. And what are the evidence and arguments that the prosecution lawyer is putting forward is that the lawyer presents a blood-stained knife, and then put forward the argument that blood stains and the fingerprints, she's putting forward the blood stains and the fingerprints as grounds for the claim. And what are the reasons for how the stains and the fingerprints constitute the basis for the claim? So simply presenting the claim, blood stain and fingerprint does not mount to saying that, this person is accused of guilty, but you need to have the reasoning also involved. So the reasoning, one type of reasoning may go like this. The forensic specialist, whoever evaluated the evidence, has published many articles in reputed journals in the field and is a person of high repute. So we must take her as a credible expert witness. She has concluded that the blood stains on the knife are those of the victim and that the fingerprints are those of the accused. Therefore, we must conclude that the blood stains are those of the victim and the fingerprints are those of the accused. So because somebody says, some expert says that this is of the victim and this is of the accused, we take it for granted that, yes, okay, let me take that for granted. And then we have to explain why that blood came on the knife, why this fingerprint was there on the knife and the knife had the blood stain. So the reasoning process goes like this. If this knife was used to kill the victim, that explains the blood stains on the knife. Since we do not have an alternate explanation, that's important. So we don't know if there are any other alternative explanations. In the absence of alternative explanations, we conclude that the knife is the murder weapon. And if the accused is the murderer, that explains the fingerprint on the murder weapon. And again, since there is no alternate explanation, we conclude that the murderer is indeed the accused. So in all these cases, again, people, seasoned researchers, we are familiar with this kind of reasoning that we write. But anyway, so this is something that, this is a rough example of what I mean as critical reading, putting forward the reasoning, putting forward the evidence, and using the evidence, reason it out, why I'm making a particular claim. And the second example is this. Zeno is the most intelligent student in our class. He has the highest IQ. So here, the claim is that Zeno is the most intelligent student in the class. Now, what does the statement say for making the claim? The given passage says he has the highest IQ score. And then says Zeno is the most intelligent student in our class. Now, the question is, does the claim follow the premise? Does it follow? I mean, statement one, from that, can we conclude claim? Yeah. Okay. Let's say 60. Does it change? Yes, sir. Yeah. So those are things that we have to think about, right?
There's one in the chat.
You read.
Okay. Is it necessary that a claim to be truth alone? I mean, can a claim be false or a fake idea?
We are evaluating if the claim is true or false. Can I put it that way? So I don't know a prior whether the claim is true or not, but the statement seems to making a claim, that's all. And I am evaluating whether that is true or not. Okay, so this one, some of you agree that the claim follows from the premise. Dr. Ramaswamy says there is something else that we have to define before we can agree on this. So let me see whether I have a. So this is what I think we need additional premises. So Zeno has the highest IQ score in the class. IQ score is a reliable measure of intelligence. Higher the IQ score, more the intelligence. Therefore, Zeno is the most intelligent student in the class. So the author must have made these two implicit, these are two thought process that must have gone in the mind, except that the author did not put it out. Unless the author had had these in mind, the author might not have been able to come to this claim. Agree? About these are very implicit, right? So it is important for us, if we have to evaluate, like Dr. Ramaswamy asked, is IQ score a reliable measure of intelligence? Right? Now once we explicitly articulate, we can question each of these premises. This is obviously we cannot question it because that's an empirical data. But this is a what is it? It's not an empirical data, but it is an assumption that the author has in the minds. So we can question that. Should we agree on this? Should we agree that IQ score is a reliable measure of intelligence? Now, if we can have a debate and see how many of you think IQ score is a measure of intelligence? Do you think IQ score is a measure of intelligence? You can agree, you cannot, you can. One method and you agree to that. Okay. Anybody disagrees? If you agree, there is no fun.
Other question is what intelligence is.
What is intelligence? Yeah. So if we don't know what is yeah, yeah. You can equate argument as proof. Proof is a word that predominantly used in mathematical domains. In scientific domains, we usually use argument, but both are the same. So then we have to define what has that most, what is the boundary, and until or unless you are saying something. Good. So there's a lot of factors that goes into it, and we don't know what is intelligence. How do you set the question paper? How do you say that this is a reliable measure? So unless we have clarity on that, we cannot make this claim, right?
And you also have different types of intelligence.
Yeah.
You can IQ score alone sort of picturize or capture the different types of intelligence that is available. So what is being tested in mathematics? If you say that he scored well, that has a high IQ score, probably that might hold true for that particular situation. So it's not a blanket premise one can.
Yeah. Yeah. So my point here is not to, I mean, one is, of course, we can discuss about this IQ score and intelligence, but my point here is two things. One, these are implicit in the minds of the author. The author has not told, and that explicitization is required, and only then we can make the claim. So the first step that we need to do is explicitize the premises, then question each of the premises. And if we agree with the premises, then we agree. And not only just agree with the premises, but also the reasoning there involved there, then we agree with the claim. So that is the process that I wanted to bring out.
It is more familiar, does not need specific.
Familiar to whom? So that's what we do in science. You know, in our community, we know what we are talking about. So if you say evolution, I and Sai maybe may understand what we are talking about, but maybe he may not understand what are you talking about, right? So who need not? Yeah. See, that's what it's not. I'm not saying you. Everybody has to understand everything. No. But if you are presented with an article with a claim, we need to evaluate. And if I have to accept it, you are asking me to accept it, then I will have to question it. I will have to go through this process. Then only I will agree. That's all that I'm saying. And this is what I'm suggesting that we need our students to have to develop. It's not that just because I said as a teacher I have 10, 15 years experience, I am telling you this is true. No, that is not the attitude that we need to develop in our students. That is all that. And how do we develop that? So one of the idea behind this session is also that we are aware of critical reading, critical thinking, but to taking it to students takes an enormous effort, and it has to be done in different domains. It's not. Today I will only take these kinds of simple passages. But in our own domain, if we have to take it and take it forward to students, and if we believe this ability is important, then each of us have to come up with a set of exercises. So one of the other hope is that, once you understand this, I'm not saying understand, but once you get sensitized to these things, maybe you can do it in your own domain. That's the hope. Is that fine? I'm not asking you to believe everything. I'm not asking that you should engage in a debate on evolution. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying any claim that is being made. So suppose you come and tell me aeronautical, this is a flight, if you change the wing, whatever, I don't know that angle, if you change a little bit, then the drag force decreases enormous. I may engage with you, try to understand what are the evidence, and otherwise I will say, oh, is it okay? Thank you. Because I don't want that information. I can always say, I don't want that information. I'm happy with what I have. I don't need. But this is okay in an academic, when we are thinking of strict discipline boundaries and you want to have a specialization within the boundary, then it is okay. I don't care what is happening. But if certain things like these things, this has a very generic implication for all of us, all students as well. And maybe another example I will show. In those cases, it directly makes an impact on the daily lives, right? The belief system that we hold. We hold the belief system so strongly without critically examining. That belief system also needs to be questioned if we have to develop as a holistic individual. So in those cases also we have to trigger. So that is the
most basic truth need not to be questioned.
What do you mean by truth?
First few purpose believe these are believed on the end. Because what happens is, like when you are teaching about the pressure in a manometer, we say that the increase in pressure leads to increase in the difference in the manometer reading. And the one student was asking, what happens when the manometer breaks? That's the question. Then I say, no, wait, William, this is what happens.
Now, in that case, what you are trying to do is asking the student to hold so that you can show a little more, and then the student can revisit back, right? You are not stopping the student from revisiting back. You are just saying, see the full picture, then you revisit so that you understand a little more concepts, and then you will see the connection. Am I right? Yeah. So these are pedagogical strategies that we employ in the class. So this is slightly different, because we also want students to understand what we are saying. So that way we have to we have to start with A, B, C, D. We cannot directly go and say we cannot directly start off on an essay, ask students to write essay. So we have to say, look, read, learn A, B, C, D first. You trust me, you will need this for writing an essay, or even for your thinking faculty to improve. So that is justified in a pedagogical as a pedagogical strategy. So that's an entirely different thing. Okay. Yeah.
Our students, getting them to read is the first thing. Then comes the critical reading. So this part also something we have to do. The thing is, most of them, almost 80% of the class, just before exams, they just read something, go and then go. So theory-based people do not typically. A few of them who would be interested in reading. So how do you get them to first get an interest to read? So that is something very important.
Yeah. So there are two things that we have to, or two or more things that we have to think about. One is learning for examination, learning for learning. And two, we also need to see from the student's perspective the time that they have. So we cannot say that I will ask you to take 8 courses per semester and you still have to do all that. That is not possible.
I think it just started so fast. Hoping that the student will be saying whether to play the big. I didn't expect anyone to get it in one viewing. But whether we need 2 viewings or 4 viewings, whether we need to listen to some of it and over, I was hoping the students could teach for themselves and at the end say, now I have time left over. But I agree with the fact schedule, they have a perfectly valid excuse who has the time to read books.
Yeah. So, but if we go on that line, then we are not going to make any progress. So we'll have to take a call saying that, okay, we have to cover the syllabus. Let us cover the syllabus. Let them also learn for the examination. Let that go hand in hand with at least one topic in a course, small topic, not unit, one small topic, if we can help the students, it will not take more than 4 or 5 hours for any one small topic. And I think 4 or 5 hours is, we can spend the 4 or 5 hours in a theory class for such kind of sensitization for students. And this is not sufficient if we do it in one course. This has to be done in multiple courses. Only then the students start to see the perspective and start transferring their learning across domains, across different disciplines as well.
Yeah, try to do the assignment, review this article, they have to read, review articles. But how effectively they are doing it?
Sir, there are a lot of other issues also. Do we have the bandwidth for us to engage with them on a one-on-one basis and discuss all these aspects? Even if you do it, given the school education system that we have had and our students are products of that, maybe 10% if they resonate to this or at least understand this idea, I think that is a great thing. So my expectations are not transforming the entire this thing, but if we systematically make that dent, 10% then will catalyze the other 10%. So that will become a catalytic cascading event. So that is the hope. Maybe video also 1.5x now over there. Yeah, I mean, so whether it is critical reading of a text or a video, whatever it is, the claim, what is the claim that is made? Now, I think I will agree with you. We have to move forward with the current generation. We have to start looking at critical viewing of the videos. So, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Now, even if they don't go into reading as a textbook or a thing, if they can start thinking. No, I mean, in the kind of reasoning that we are talking about. So if we can, their reading is different, but you have to critically evaluate all that. We ourselves don't think with my opinions. I'm not generalizing to all students, but majority of the students know. Based on our experience, class transactions. No, not exam papers. I don't go by that.
Practical work, practical, not bios, performance of the instruments.
Even they are expected to read the textbooks and at least when you are providing the PPT or material, that also they are not reading, they ask for important topics, important questions.
We are also under pressure to cover the syllabus, ma'am. The pace it on the enough. Okay, done. My job is over. That is also a reality. Great.
Any type for any electronics, whether they understand or not, that doesn't matter. They purchase the IC, and what for something else also.
I wait there to do a bit of reading, getting the 10 marks, internal assessment to be self-study. So if I would start power plant engineering in semester, you go learn something about power plants that's out of syllabus. I fully expect they're going to do something of half-year, but no problem, at least you get the extra reading. And I respect that. But it's no, look, it's a little reading outside the textbook, and it was hoping to at least judge, is this good material? no names, no details. One group of 3 students submitted an assignment about a nuclear power plant. Just reading it, it looks like those people have made some brochures on the power plant. Like it's got advertised. I was thinking, you do not tell us what advertisement.
I also had an idea of a thing, and this is for one of my course I gave an assignment saying individually giving a kind of a think and answer type of questions, what you have done for the course. And almost 3 sessions or patients. But I shocked that everyone that has completed within 2 days their assignments. Most of the things they take, not most of the time, they will be taken from the challenge. What I just posted the things and within a short period after they got it, everyone they said they have done it. But a few things that I made them was some way kind of a quiz. And there also I found that they have tried one method and just recurred with them. And with that, they started putting kind of questions on the chat GPT, narrated a story, and that's being submitted. And again, I have already I put the word that it should be a kind of not a lengthy experience, whatever I have done. Simply what is already explained. So it's quite easy for them to come up with the chat GPT and giving me as I'm within a one paragraph, what is the answer. So they're learning on the activity. Then only I will think about this critical area. Aim was to make them think a little beyond what actually read. I was like, what are the learn on the book, how they can apply on the real time cases.
Yeah, so the challenges are many. The challenges are many, and the strategies are very widely. We can adopt a wide different strategies, but we need to have a idea of what we want to achieve through these strategies and challenges. How do we overcome them? What do we want to achieve? That clarity, if we have some spurning, we can do. Yes, sir. Your article is famous, sir. So for those who,
The thing is, the interest also is factor. They're interested in a topic, they think critically and they ask questions. I hope. So you can generally interest in subject that they will.
yeah. So those are challenges, I would say. How do you create interest such that, but are we clear in what we want to achieve after generating the interest? So that is something that we have to think about and be clear about it. That's the whole thing. I'll just quickly move. So premises can be empirical data. As I said, data, measurements, reports are all empirical data, but it can also be implicit assumptions as we had in the earlier passage, and explicit, I'm calling it assumptions, but explicit propositions in the given statement itself. Like here we had, has the highest one. This is not a explicit. This is the grounds, and these are implicit assumptions or premises that we have. In some cases, there will be explicit propositions as well. We will have examples of that. So the process of critical reading or critical evaluating goes like this. What we have discussed, I'm just summarizing. The first step is identifying what is the claim that is being presented in the passage. The second is, what justification does the passage advance in support of the claim? And the third is the justification sound? That is to say, are the premises credible and the reasoning appropriate? Then we look for, are there additional considerations that are not mentioned that will support or weaken the claim? And finally is when we either accept the claim, reject the claim, or say, I will hold it for now. I do not know if I can make any conclusions now. I don't know if I want to reject, or I don't know if I want to accept it. We can hold the decision process as well. So this is the process of what we have done, or what I have briefed so far. What we will do, I will give you another example illustrating this process. So here, the statement is this: Ayurvedic medicines are better than allopathic medicines because they are derived from plant sources. So I'm sure you would agree with me that the claim that is stated in the passage is Ayurvedic medicines are better than allopathic medicines. And the explicit assumption or explicit premise that is being told in the statement is that Ayurvedic medicines are derived from plant sources. Now, let me first ask how many of you agree with the claim? I don't want any reasons or not, just yes or no, agree or disagree with the claim. No, some case, only two answers, agree or disagree, that's all. Okay, you disagree. Okay, so that's a different, okay, that I take it. No, both. It is either disagree, agree, or like, sir, this is not my domain. I don't know anything about it. You cannot say it is not your domain. I don't want any answers. I want only agree or disagree. Agree. Okay. 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 Students also can say, do you agree? Go ahead, tell me. Disagree. You're working on that. Madam is not here. Just joking. It's okay.
We'll rephrase. I mean, let us keep aside that we are formally educated, whatever it is. We should think as though what our parents will tell if this was told. I mean, like in a conventional household, we should not think, oh, now I'm a teacher or a PhD or an MSc, nothing. You are a 12th standard graduate is enough. Right? We are a literate person. Now for the same question. Agree or disagree? How many of you will agree? We are just in from our home.
All of mostly, except okay.
No, from our home. Because if we disagree, you should be able to tell, go to your home and then tell the, people at home, no, you have to disagree. So that is what is relevant, right? This is what we do now here is preaching. What we practice. That is what is right.
Apo, again, taking cue on that, why would they agree? Most of us said agree. So why do you think they would have agreed to this statement?
Here also agree.
Oh, great. Okay, based on your experience. But why do you think they have said yes? What would have been in their mind for saying yes? Agree.
Because plants are not harmed.
Okay. Right.
Why we used or regularly used at this time?
Correct.
One beautiful thing, nothing to do with critical reading. What we just realized now is, see, we have some other notion at home, right? But now, when we did say that it was from home and all, most of us said we disagree. But the moment I said from home, what you practice now, suddenly it became right. So that means that is something very nice. I'm not sure whether this can be also related to critical reading. But now we understand that there are, for the same statement, there are two ways we connect. Right? And that's very interesting. Right?
Yeah. We'll talk about all that. All clarification is required. I understand. No, I agree. We will come to all that. Right. So you are now an academic person.
There's one response here. They agree because our ancestors were practicing naturopathy, found successful, so agree.
Super.
This is
right. Okay. So many of this is a belief system, right? So what our colleague articulated was a wonderful, fantastic belief of the individual. right? For whatever reason, this is the belief that we have in the society. This is the kind of belief system that goes in the society, and I believe that. Because as sir was saying, I use it daily, plants, I use it daily in the food and all that. So I believe it. So this is how, this is what, I mean, we are all tuned to it. I'm not saying, we are some super categories and all. All of us have that biases, right? Now we have to examine it carefully. If you put it in the food, does it mean that this becomes better than allopathy? So we have to now critically ask these questions as academics, right? As trained people, we have to ask. Now, this is the thing that we want our students to have. We have it. I'm happy about that. But our students also need to question their own belief system. See, this is shaking the belief system, right? I'm not saying we have to shake all the belief systems, but at least these kinds of things, we cannot just like that say that, I saw in the newspaper and I think this is what is true. No, we have to get them when they say this COVID spread through, what was that? Some things came up, right? Forget whatever it is. So this spreads like this spread. So at one point I did this at home. I locked all the doors, windows all closed, because they said, if there is a death, even 2 streets apart, that virus will come by air into your home. I don't know if that is true, because it's too far. Let's say 1 kilometer away, and to believe, and if I use my scientific thinking, 1 kilometer, that droplet flying all the way from 1 kilometer, the stupid thing. But still, it's out of fear that I closed all the windows at home. These things are there. Okay, I'm not saying these things are not there, and we have different kinds of beliefs also. I'm not saying we have to question everything, but at least when it comes to these kinds of academic stuff, let us start questioning it and let us try to understand. It's more like understanding ourselves. So now we know if we are agreeing or disagreeing, we now know it is from our belief system. Now it is up to us to examine whether that we want to change that belief system or not. That's a different story. But that is the genesis. The belief system is the genesis of certain things. And we have to be aware of that aspect. That is one of the points that came up. What? Well, that opens up another Pandora's box. Do we have independent thinking? Do we have free will? So those are bigger questions. Let us not talk about that. So here again, coming back to our premise conclusion stuff, do you agree, or I have already put it, that the premise alone, this premise alone does not lead to the claim? Okay? Do you agree that this premise alone does not lead to the claim? Most of you said something.
That depends upon the person.
According to you, it does not lead to the claim. Okay. So now our first purpose, or in the process of critical reading, one of the suggested is, first let us articulate explicitly what are the premises that needs to be articulated such that the author can make this claim. First, we are not going to impose our thoughts. Our critical faculty we are not going to impose, but we are going to unearth the implicit assumptions in the author's statement such that the premises can lead to the claim. Then we evaluate it. So if we were to do that, some premises that I have identified is allopathic medicines are not derived from plant sources. Medicines derived from plant sources are better than medicines derived from non-plant sources. Therefore, putting premise 1, 2, and 3 together, the claim follows from the premises. This is one quick thing that I did. Okay. So the point here again I am trying to say is, let us unearth the implicit assumptions in the author's statement such that it leads to the claim of the author. We have to still hold whether we are going to agree or not. First step is this. Then we evaluate the premise. And then we say whether we agree or disagree with the claim for so and so reason. So now you can question any of these premises. You can question medicines derived from plant sources are better than medicines derived from non-plant sources. You can question. You can question allopathic medicines are not derived from plant sources. You can question. Maybe there are more things also. right? So this is again, these are things that we quickly do in the mind, right? When the statement comes, flashes in the screen, certain things go so fast in the brain. And we immediately say, yes, I agree, disagree because of so and so reasons, without explicitly going through all the premises.
What is the problem?
There's no problem with that, except that we will not be looking at all the reasons. I didn't understand that.
Implicitly, we assume certain it's okay.
Yeah, that is fine. Implicitly assuming premise is not a problem to me, except that are we aware of that implicit assumptions?
Does not know.
I don't want others to know. Are we even aware of those implicit premises?
That also depends upon what database I expect.
Yeah, agree. So that's why we have an option set aside for further scrutiny. I don't know about all these stuff. Let me set it aside. So if you say something on aerodynamics, I'm going to say, I don't know anything about it. I will keep it aside. I will not take it for granted or reject it outright.
I'll proceed to better. With safety or efficiency?
Or accessibility.
Safety and efficiency. If you're looking at efficiency aspect, then the conclusions might be slightly different. But if you're looking at safety aspect, they tested. Allopathic medicines are well tested. At least clinical trials are done. So many testings are done. So in terms of safety, when you say, then allopathy has a sort of an upper hand, or you would say that they are better. If you're saying better for safety, then allopathy is better. If you're saying better for efficiency, then there could be a difference from case to case.
So what you're basically saying is, in the premises, we need to have a definition or a clarity for what this word means. Yeah. Agree.
But in allopathic medicine, we need to class how clinical trials finally.
So what you are saying is, if it has crossed the regulations, it is safe and efficacy. That is your premise. So if we can now articulate all these as premises and claim. So this definition for better has to be included. Regulations, if that is something that we agree, or the extent of research. So the more the research that has happened, the more, and the conclusion that it is safe, then we believe that. So that is the implicit thing that you are saying. And what Dr. Shakti was saying is, if there are rigorous regulations and it has passed through all the scrutiny, then we believe that it is safe. So that is an implicit assumption that we have, right? But except that we should be aware of it. That's all I'm saying. Right? And somebody may start questioning, okay, I will question now regulations. If you have regulations, does it always lead to say, efficacy? If we have more research, does it always lead to safety? Now somebody may question and they may make progress. Now that progress making is our goal. Our goal is not to stop there. Right? But what is it that we are implicitly assuming in the mind? That is what we should be aware of. And if we can explicitize that, then that leads to progress. That is the point.
Assumption to facts. What is true is previously somewhere country like states. India is dependent on this facts. United States is then in facts, complex assumptions.
No, I would rather put it as this is one of the premises is something like, it's a country, in this country, India, something like that. We can add different. So these are all premises. So I would not put it as contrasting. There's no contrasting here. It is just that you have more premises. But is that what the author had in mind? We don't know.
We need to ask only the
Yeah, we don't know. So we can only do based on what this passage is there. We cannot, impose our own ideas, that is also an issue. So we don't know whether the author has made. So these are all reasons why we should either set it aside for further scrutiny or reject it, not accept it. Right? Because the author has not explicitly told anything. And to make a claim from the premise that the author has 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 premises is sufficient. So I can only assume that this is what the author has probably made the assumption. And if this is the case, then for so and so reasons, I either accept it, reject it, or set it aside for further scrutiny. This is the options that we have. Okay. Okay, so this is an exercise. So this is a very simple statement. Lakshman can walk faster than Sunil because Lakshman is taller. And what I have done here is to list a set of premises. At least to begin with, I would suggest let us restrict ourselves to these premises. Later you can add. And what we want to do is we have to order these premises such that we start with the premises and the final line is therefore Lakshman can walk out. The claim is arrived at. So I'm not giving it in order intentionally. What I want you to try is let us reorder it such that the premises lead to the claim that this statement is making. Let us take a minute to think and then we will. Well, Naren has arranged for tea and biscuits. So we will get it. Yeah. If that motivates people. Okay. Huh? No. Okay. So, 4 is unanimously first. Yeah. Number 2.
Okay. One option that we have got from there that you right now. So from online we have got 1, 4, 3, 2, 6, 5. One, 4, 3, 2, 6, 5. 1, 4, 3, 2, 5. 2, 5. Okay.
We need to think.
No, I'm just saying. No, the point, what we are trying to do is, again, this is Naren's strategy, came out of his mind. So this is a statement, and obviously we have to write it down as premises and claim. Right? That is what we have to do, and that is what we saw as the process that we have. Now, the difficulty that we have seen is that to arrange it such that the final is the conclusion. These are the this is the order in which we have to write such that it leads to the claim. This is a difficulty that we find. We have found in the students. We have not. This is actually members. But we thought we will try this out and see if something new strategy works. Because, okay, 2, 1.
One more online, 145623. 145623.
Did I get correctly?
Minus 4.6.
Answer your question.
Yeah, but I have no problem with this order.
Okay. 4, 5, 2, 6, 1, 3. 4, 5, 6, 1. 4, 5, 6, 1. 4, 5, 6, 2, 1. 4, 5, 6, 2, 1.
1, 5, 6.
Huh?
2, 4, 5, 6.
2, 4, 5, 6.
One more online. One more online has come. 124563. 124563.
Yeah. Looks like majority is 3 is the last. 1, 4, 5 are the double ends. 1, 4, 5. Yeah, so that is an explicit premise. No, so we have to include the explicit premise also, right? Otherwise, you cannot make the claim. You cannot ignore the explicit premise. Any other answers? Falls within all this for everyone? No, which is correct? Ah. So for people online, there are various options that have come. So various options that have come. So different orders. First one is 145263, 245613, 456213, 425613, 452613, 214563, and then the rest of 3 are online responses. Right. So now, is it not estimating that we have differences? Right. It is fascinating that we have differences. Now let us examine 1 or 2. I do not know which is correct or which is wrong, but let us just examine randomly. The one from the online, the other from the offline. That's one. Let us randomly choose one from online, maybe this one, and this one, and let us examine each of this. So 4, 5, 2, 6, 1, 3. So 4 tall people have longer legs than short people. Long-legged people take longer strides. Tall people walk faster than short people. Longer strides helps the taller people to walk faster. Now, now let us just pause here. So 4 is okay. Tall people have longer legs than short people. Long-legged people take longer strides. And then it goes to 2. And then it comes to 6, right? Does it, would you think it is better if we skip, I mean, if we go to 6? Yeah, go to 6. Then to 1. Yeah. Would you agree? Yeah. Okay. Huh? Sorry? Oh, you told that? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. That is another premise. Yes, neighboring premise. So if we switch that 4, 5, 6, 2, 1, 3. So tall people have longer legs than short people. Long leg people take longer strides. Longer strides help the taller people to walk faster. Tall people walk faster than short people. Lakshman is taller than Sunil, hence Lakshman walks faster than Sunil. Right? So this is one. Any changes anybody wants to suggest? Looks okay. The ordering is okay. Okay, fine. Now let's examine the other online one. 1, 4, 3, 2, 6, 5. Lakshman is taller than Sunil. Tall people have longer legs than short people. Hence, Lakshman walks faster than Sunil. Tall people walk faster than short people. There seems to be some contradiction, right? So we cannot say 1, 4. So if we conclude, this is the claim. So we have concluded here. The claim usually comes at the last, right? But this one is in between. And then what are we trying to say? Finally, that becomes a question. 5 long-legged people take longer strides. So it is not leading to the claim, right? So this is something that we should be, one of the things that we have observed among students, that when they try to evaluate the claim, they lose track of what is the claim. Okay, so that is something that we have to keep in mind and look at how to organize the premises such that it leads to the claim. So this logical thinking is an important aspect that we need to be aware of when we are discussing these things with the students. Right. And if you want, we can take one more. Maybe everybody says last is 3, so that is good. Maybe.
So last is 3, because you have added.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that, 2, 4, 5, 6 can shuffle at any point.
Let us see. Let us evaluate and see. No, let us say since we started off with 4, maybe why not? Which one do you take? Look at. Your choice. Which one? This one or this one? We will examine.
Yeah, 2.
2. Okay. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 3. 6, 1, 3. Okay. 2 tall people walk faster than short people. 2, 4, 5. 4 tall people have longer legs. Long leg people take longer strides. Longer strides help the taller people to walk faster. Lakshman is taller than Sunil. Hence, so which of these is better then? Is this better? Both seems to work. Both seems to logically flow. Is there, do you prefer one over the other? This is better. Why? Why is that wrong? Or is it wrong? Both are correct. But then we prefer this. Why? But that is wrong then. So following statement should support the previous statement. In the earlier case, that was not the case. Which statement can you pick out? So he says, the following premise must have some link to the previous premise. Then it makes a flow. The flow of logic is very clear. That is what he says. So now can you identify where the flow disrupts?
Tall people to what do you say, components. What do you want to emphasize?
What, well, when you mean what do you want to emphasize? Are you saying the claim or? What does this statement say? We are evaluating this statement. This statement very clearly says he can walk faster because he is taller. So that is the claim that comes out of this thing. So they are not generalizing it. Now this is also something that we should be aware of. Right? These are talking about specific people, but what we have done here, say for instance, when we say tall people have longer legs than short people and long leg people, we are talking about the population of people. We are not talking about Lakshman or Sunil. But what we are saying is this, whatever property that is applicable to the population is applicable to the individual. This may be familiar in terms of statistics. Whatever is true of the population is true of the sample. Or whatever is true of the sample is true of the population. So the same inductive process is what we are doing here. Now you can question that. Can you do that extrapolation?
But the second one may not be true. Right? We can start from the one which is true. And then we can support that by fixing the one which is not.
So what you are saying is this is empirical.
Yeah, that is true state.
True. If you take any tall people, they will have longer legs, or at least majority. If not, there may be exceptions. We are not talking about exceptions. We are talking about in general, in any population, you take tall people, they will have longer legs. So that is an empirical data. So what Dr. Shakti, true to being a scientist, he says start with the empirical data. Then you make all inferences that you want. So fine. So that is your reason why you think we should do it this way. Okay.
Just another observation again. Based on this, what he said. Now, two ways seems to be okay. I mean, both will fine, and we were discussing on which is better. From what you discussed, or I mean, what we were thinking is, like, suppose we make a statement like, after 2 comes 4, tall people walk faster than short people because we want to write the word because, or let's say in another sequence, tall people have longer legs than short people. Therefore, so that means the word that you add, like what we have it in mind is whether this should lead or we should write the kind of cause or the reasoning after because. Here, I think maybe you can come in.
Yeah, this is
Because or therefore.
here we are looking either the cause or the consequence. How we want to organize. Yeah. Yes, see, whether you the conjunctions are just adding to the meaning of how we organize and how we interpret, right? That's placeholder is what I would say. But fundamentally, there is a logic there. Yeah. Agree.
Like, tall people have dogs, not lead starting.
Tall people have, if you start with 4, okay, let us work it out. We so tall people walk faster than short people. How do we know? How do we come to that? That is also an intermittent conclusion. No, if you start with that, 2 tall people walk faster than short people, and then we have 4. 4 is tall people have longer legs than short people. Now, what is the connection between 2 and 4?
Telling why tall people walk.
Yeah, that itself is a conclusion, is what I'm saying. It's an intermediate conclusion that we are coming up based on the empirical data that tall people have longer legs. And we are assuming that if you have longer legs, then you will have longer strides. And if you take longer strides, then you are assuming that you will cover the same distance in a faster time. That's what we say as walk faster, right? We can question it. I mean, is that fine? Did I answer the? Okay. Okay, so the idea is, in many cases, I mean, it is not a hard and fast rule, but it is, as pointed out, it is mostly if we start with the empirical data, then we also need to be sensitive that these are generalizations on the population, right? These are generalizations on the population. So that is also something that we should be, so that should also be as part of the premise. What is true of the population is true of the individual. It's something that we have to explicitize there. And then the other things perhaps follows. Now, suppose we take that for granted, the 4, 5, 6, 2, 1, 3 sequence. If you were to critically evaluate the premises now, right now we have said, okay, this is the author's, this is how perhaps the author has reasoned out. Right, the author may not have explicitly told all the premises, but now we have explicitized, and we think these premises lead to the claim, or a few premises that we discussed we can add. Now, once we have added that and resequenced it, do you now we have to the next task is to evaluate it, right? Evaluate the premises and then come to a conclusion whether to accept it, reject it, or withhold for further scrutiny. So if you were to critically evaluate the premises, what kind of critical evaluation will you do? Huh.
These 4, 5, 6 what? That's about 9 long legs. So that is not needed. 1, 2, 3 is sufficient. The tall people walk faster. Lakshman is taller than Sunil. And Lakshman was faster than Sunil. That's complete.
Okay, let us take that for to begin with. Suppose we have 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you were to critically evaluate the premise and argument, how will you evaluate? So this statement, so there are only 2 statements to evaluate. One of it is a claim. So we are not going to evaluate the claim. We are going to evaluate these 2. And we are going to say this is an empirical data. There's no point in evaluating. This is the only point that we have to evaluate. Tall people walk faster than short people. Now, do we agree to that? Why do we agree? Why do we not agree?
From the statement.
Which statement?
Lakshman can walk faster than Sunil because Lakshman is taller. So tall people walk faster than short people.
That is the reasoning of the author. Now we have to question whether that reasoning is correct or not. I'm asking you to question this premise.
We need to question it.
That is the process of critical thinking.
The author says.
This is what the author's reasoning is.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to believe what the author says, but I'm going to use my own reasoning process, evaluation process. Then I will say I agree with the author or I will not agree with the author. That's true. Why? Correct. So what you are basically doing is you are rejecting this premise too, and therefore the conclusion is rejected. And the reason for rejection is it could be either the tall but fat that they cannot walk, or tall, thin, but they don't walk fast. Either it could be that way. Therefore, I am rejecting it. So as you said, sir, this is not perhaps needed. You still, this point itself, you can reject. I mean, you can agree or reject. That is a different thing.
But cannot be rejected based on the other statement.
I'm not saying. Now we are only evaluating it.
We are evaluating beyond the author's statement.
Correct.
That's not necessary.
It is up to you, sir. If you want to believe the author, I'm not going to say anything.
Statement is the statement.
Ah.
There is a statement. Now we are evaluating this statement.
Correct.
Now the question is, tall people walk faster than short people. That is from the statement, it is true.
I'm not saying it is true. That is a premise.
That's a premise.
And I'm evaluating the premise. That's all. I'm evaluating it and I have arguments against the statement.
And I check the other statement, it is.
Okay. You have checked. How did you check that this is true?
Because Lakshman can walk, Lakshman is.
No, forget about the statement that is, this is the author's premises. Now the question is, do you agree with the premises? And why you agree with the premises? You can say in a sample of people that I saw, all the tall people who walk faster than short. No, that is the entire process of critical thinking.
That doesn't matter. According to the statement, if we are thinking, or I'm thinking based on my opinion or my database, that's different, entirely different.
I'm only asking the reason for believing that. That's all.
I agree.
Yeah, please, he has some response to it.
It's clear, yes, you can take a based on some evidence you are saying, but the reason because section is taller, cannot get.
He says, why should we even question that? Because that is given in the passage.
Sorry, I think you said it, because convinced with the statement itself, you don't have to go further.
Yeah.
Unless they are disagree with the statement, obviously go here and begin to understand why we are saying.
No, we necessarily need not have to disagree. We only have to be convinced ourselves based on whatever knowledge that we have. Huh.
That is the case, I'll go into it and I'll find that why he's saying about it. Why can't be another reason, other cases I go for it. It's just critical learning part of it.
Yeah.
That is the way I feel. On the three kind of thing.
Okay. So you may, based on your knowledge, you may say this, I don't agree with the statement. But I may not know people who are tall but walk slower than short people. I may not know. Therefore, I would say in my set of people, what I have observed so and so. So, but if somebody is providing a counter evidence to my database, I should take that, right? And I should change my belief that this is true. If somebody is presenting the evidence, would you agree to that?
On various cases.
No. If only I am convinced, you can bring in the evidence. I have to again critically evaluate the evidence. How did you measure and all that stuff? If I am convinced that the evidence that you are giving is credible, then I have to change my opinion, my belief.
Obviously, he convinced the agreement.
Yeah, you have to be convinced. That is the point I'm saying.
If anybody is convincing me, let's say that I'm in that case, if I convince automatically my mind, automatically it actually go with, and it's like an alternate equation.
Madam, you are an academician, you will change.
That's it. One evidence. The one who is evaluating get another evidence to be said. Like we can have the example such a Tendulkar or Sachin. Sachin Tendulkar was faster than Sachin.
Okay, I am not aware of that, so I will go by what you say.
Who doesn't know how actually this works and how assertion works, still he has a role there. It's a role that he can evaluate it and whether it is possible or not.
Yeah, I would ask proof for that. Evidence.
I can believe that.
Me? No way.
Or else, if any measurement for the level, and we have solved this is written this for of time and other cases are anything. Kind of strategies will be proven that he can work most of this and go for it. Unless otherwise, I believe whatever I have in mind that all people walk fast. Obviously, we need evidence that suppose convince first. So till then it goes.
Yeah. And that also brings us to the notion of how do we claim something as true, right? What sort of evidence? How do you claim that? How do you operationalize this? If you were to claim that no, this is wrong, now you need to do some kind of experiments, or you need to pull out evidence and show some metrics. Again, that is what we do in research. Not all research, but at least some part of the research. That is what we do. Right. So again, so this has anyway. So that is about how do we construct knowledge. So that is part of how we construct knowledge. Yeah.
Practical reading,
Hmm.
or what the author want to convey to you,
No.
or what I understand from the other thing.
No.
Then
Critical reading is evaluating the claims of the author.
When he said, when the statement is extended, we want to evaluate the extended statement.
What I feel on this critical learning part is that if you are not doing critical learning, then it's like a blindly accepting more statement, whatever it is. Whatever the claim they do it, and if that has been given, and I have to accept in that case, there is no progress on it, on what it done means. What is the cause which made them to give a statement? There won't be any kind of discussion on it. So there is no progress, there is no learning. And maybe there is a learning that what the statement is given and that I have learned. And what is the cause behind it, why it went for it, and such kind of discussion won't raise it at all. There won't be any furthermore learning on the statement or any cases. For that reason, we need to go for a critical learning method. It's like at least a questioning of the statement. And if you're getting this convincing answer on the question, you can find. At least you're getting some factors that which is convincing you on the particular point or what are the claim they are giving you. For that reason, we have to at least question what the statement is. Asking the question, getting convincing is a critical learning method. That's what I think. My understanding is.
Another point I can add is, need not whatever is being said, the statement. The evaluation comes apart like whether it is right or wrong. Need not whatever is said in the public is, need not to be
No, it's not in the public, in the textbook.
the textbook, and we are also,
If
students are
someone,
also equating
someone starts
such papers.
evaluating a particular statement, then it becomes
Okay.
very complicated.
Solidly.
Walk faster, run faster.
The example is different in the same because then there is a, if you take the science,
Oh, science.
Sixth standard.
it engages the level of understanding.
Sir, there are two things that I see in your question. One is, I don't have to question the textbooks. Whatever is said, I'm going to take it. That is one. The second point is, whatever is there, I take that and make progress. I'm not going to question that, but I'm going to make progress based on that. Right? So I think you are more inclined towards the second path. Huh.
That's what I'm
Yeah. Agree. Why do I have to question? Somebody has found it.
trying to understand why the ways,
Why at all engage in critical reading? Take whatever they have said, but develop based on that. Correct?
you know,
Ah.
telling that we should not. It is another statement, right?
Yeah. So
Other what?
this is a kind of an axiomatic commitment that we need to.
When there is a assessment, we ask for students to do that. Repeat it. Whatever they have done, we are also repeating the same. That's fine.
Yeah. So in that case, you did not believe the research, the author, and you asked them to repeat, and you said now it is fine.
Because we should know.
Correct. Correct. So that is, but that is, what if there are some conceptual gaps and we overlook those? I mean, we may take it for assumption, right? For instance, you tell it. Yeah. In the book is already good.
Say textbook like that. Statement.
Definition.
Definition.
NCERT textbook தானே இருக்கு இதானே
Show it as a textbook. This is from
இதுதான் ஆமா so okay so Naren says this is time for tea so we have to break now but before we break he gives us another assignment. He wants me to read this and tell that this is lifted from an NCERT textbook. Please read this, reflect on this when you are drinking tea. Yeah. From a textbook, NCERT textbook. Yeah, many people should not answer. மேடம் இங்கதான் இருக்க போகுது போட்டோலாம் எடுக்கணும்
tea குடிக்கும் போதே they will,
Oh. But you had something to say, maybe quickly if you can.
So why we need to, we have always doing anything to ask the
Okay. I mean, I take your point, but we'll have a discussion after tea. Just read this statement and reflect on it, and then we'll come back after 15 or 20 minutes. NCRT textbook. When should we come back, Naren? 11:30. He gives us half an hour time for break.
no, not only thinking, they should, whether premises is okay and everything. Like you can come and write here. Next one here, you can see it's the sign of the baby.
Fine, fine.
Oh, அப்பதா.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody has to come out for tea.
That is why this corporation requires so much time, right? Whatever பண்ணா உண்மையா இருக்காது, ஏதோ வந்தோம் அப்படி கொண்டு
So yeah, discuss பண்ணலாம், meet பண்ணலாம்.
வேற வழியே இல்லை. அதனால இதை மல்டிபிள் டைம்ஸ்
Only contestants and teachers and difficulty over discussing.
ஸ்லோவா ஸ்டார்ட். ஏன்னா டிஸ்கஸ் பண்றதுக்கு எனக்கு சொல்ல மாதிரி அடுத்தது we are planning something.
இல்ல அந்த டாபிக் தான் சொல்றேன். டீச்சர்ஸ்க்கு டிஃபிகல்ட்டி கிளாஸ் சிச்சுவேஷன்.
அடுத்த டாபிக் இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் சொல்லுவாங்க. அடுத்த TLC ஒரு அசைன்மென்ட் வந்து ஒரு ஓபன் ஃபாரம், ஒரு டிஸ்கஷன் ஃபாரம், வேர் பீப்பிள் டிஸ்கஸ் சொல்யூஷன்லாம் இல்ல. எனக்கு இந்த ப்ராப்ளம் வருது அப்படி சொல்லிட்டு போட்டு போறோம். சால்வ் உடனே ஆனாலும் அவசியம் இல்லை.
இல்ல இப்ப ஸ்டூடண்ட்ஸ் இருக்கிற ப்ராப்ளம்க்கெல்லாம் ஃபுல் சப்போர்ட் இருக்கு. இப்ப டீச்சர்ஸ் இருக்கிற ப்ராப்ளம்க்கு எங்க போய் ஆக்டிவிட்டிஸ் ரொம்ப புக் எடுத்து படிக்க மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க. கிளாஸ் நிறைய இருக்கு சார். அதை நம்ம கொஞ்சம் இது பண்ணலாம். ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் ஸ்ட்ரீம்லைன் பண்ணிட்டா இவ்வளோ டீச்சர் எஃபர்ட் எடுக்கிறதுக்கு எஃபிஷியன்ட்டா லேர்னிங் ப்ராசஸ் நடக்குமே சார்.
டிஸ்கஸ் எல்லா ஸ்கூல்லயும் எல்லாருக்கும் இந்த மாதிரி இஷ்யூஸ் இருக்கு. யாராச்சும் எதையாச்சும் ட்ரை பண்ணிருப்பாங்க. அதுல இருந்து
மேசிவ் லெவல்ல வந்து சின்ன சேஞ்ச் பண்ண ஒரு மைனர் சேஞ்ச் கூட இன்னும் எஃபிஷியன்சி இம்ப்ரூவ் பண்ணும். நான் என்ன ஃபீல் பண்றது, டீச்சர்ஸ் எல்லாருமே ரொம்ப எஃபர்ட் எடுக்கிறாங்க சார். ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லா கேட்டகரியும்
இருக்காங்க. இது நம்ம சைடு ஒப்பீனியன். நம்ம சைடு ஒப்பீனியன் டிஃபரெண்டா வரலாம். ஸ்டூடெண்ட் கிட்ட அவங்க சொல்லுவாங்க அவங்களே நடத்த மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க, நாங்களே தான் படிக்கிறோம் அப்படின்னு சொல்றதுக்கு வாய்ப்பு இருக்கு. இருக்குன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. I'm saying from this side, that is what that side. And from that side, this side is
டீச்சர்ஸ் சைடுல இருக்குது. கொஞ்சம் அவங்க இன்னும் கோஆபரேட் பண்ணாங்க. சில ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் ரொம்ப பிரில்லியன்ட்டா இருக்காங்க. சில பேர் கொஞ்சம் சொன்னாலும்
ரீடிங் அட்டென்ஷனே இல்லைன்னு சொன்னாங்க. எப்படி படிக்கிறாங்க? They don't want to read anything.
phone addiction இருக்கு சார். போன்ல ஹோம்வொர்க் கொடுக்குறேன், வாட்ஸ்அப் ஹோம்வொர்க்.
நான் இப்போ சொல்றேன், இப்போ போனை யூஸ் பண்ணணும்னு சொன்னா கிளாஸ்ல யூஸ் பண்ண சொல்ல வேண்டியது. You're adult, you know when to use, when not to use. Why I should be policing you? உனக்கு எப்ப தோணுதோ அப்ப படிக்க ஆரம்பிக்கலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுங்க.
ஒரு சின்ன சப்போர்ட் டைம் எப்படி கொஞ்சம் இது பண்ணிக்கலாம். ஏன்னா இவ்வளவு நம்ம எஃபர்ட் எடுக்கிறோம், அவ்வளவு டைம் பண்ணி கிளாஸ் சும்மா மாஸ்டர் டீல உட்காந்துருக்காங்க. அப்புறம் வந்து எனக்கு பரிசைக்கு 1 மணி நேரத்துக்கு முன்னாடி எனக்கு காசு வந்துச்சு, போக பயமா இருக்கு, போன் பண்ணி சொல்றாங்க. என்ன
we will discuss at least in open forum solution. எனக்கு எப்படி வருது தெரியல. at least we have to make this known support. அதெல்லாம் பிரச்சனை இல்லைன்னு நம்ம டாக்குமெண்ட் பண்ணல. பிரச்சனை இருக்குன்னு சொன்னதானே தீர்வை நோக்கி போறது.
அதான் நம்மளோட மெயிலாம் பார்க்கும்போது இப்ப நம்மளுக்கு ஒரு பிரச்சனை இருக்கு, அதை யார்கிட்ட சொல்றது?
Yeah, we will do that.
ஆனா அது என்ன ரொம்ப சொல்ல நம்ம நிறைய ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் உண்மையில ரொம்ப இந்த பேஜ்ல இருந்து எங்க இருந்து எடுத்தீங்க ரொம்ப பிரில்லியண்டா
இந்த சைடும் இருக்கு.
இப்ப நல்லா இருந்து கெட்டு போறாங்க சார். உள்ள வரும்போது நல்லா இருந்து சில பேர் ஸ்மாரா இருந்து அப்புறம் இம்ப்ரூவ் ஆகுறாங்க.
அது okay.
கொஞ்சம் எஃபோர்ட் எடுத்தோம்னா இப்ப இருக்கிறத வச்சு இன்னும் நல்ல எஃபிஷியன்ட்டா ஸ்டூடெண்ட் ரீச் பண்ணலாம். சோ அடுத்தடுத்து வரவங்க இன்னும் நல்லாவும் படிப்பாங்க. அது பண்றதுதான் சார் எனக்கு ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருக்கு. ஓப்பனாவே சொல்றாங்க மேம் ஹாஸ்டல்ல தூங்கிட்டேன்.
தூங்கிட்டே லேட்டா வரும். ராத்திரி முழுக்க சீரியல் பாக்குறான். இந்த மாதிரி இஷ்யூஸ் அட்லீஸ்ட் லெட் அஸ் ஓபன்லி வெண்ட் அவுட் ஃபர்ஸ்ட். சொல்யூஷன் இருக்கா இல்லையா நான் சொல்றேன்.
கொஞ்சம்
we should first vent out.
பண்ணலாம் சார். எனக்கு அதான் என்னோடது. கொஞ்சம் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் டிசிப்ளைன்டா இருக்கலாம். ஓகே பிராக்டீஸ் பண்ணு.
மேடம் நான்
நான் படிக்க முடிச்சிட்டு வந்தேன்.
பிஸ்கட் சாப்பிடுறேன்.
முக்காபு சரியா? நீங்க பீனா குடிப்பீங்க ரைட்?
ஆன்லைன் டைம் 7 பேர் 5 பேர் 10 பேர் சேர்ந்து இருக்காங்க. SRC and சென்னை
ஆன்லைன்ல எக்ஸாம் எழுதுறாங்க.
ஜிமீட். அதனாலதான் நான் அங்க வந்து பேசுறது. லிங்க் இல்ல. சென்னைக்கும் SRCக்கும் கூகுள் மீட்ல இருந்து. எனக்கு கீழே மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் கான்ஃபரன்ஸ்ல கேமரா கிடைக்கல, மைக் கிடைக்கல. விக்னேஷ் பரவாயில்ல, அவங்க ஆர்வமா இருக்காங்க. மொபைல் லேப்டாப் லிங்க் பண்ணி மைக் நல்லா இருக்கும். அதனால அப்ளை பண்ணிருக்கேன். அதனால இந்த மைக்லயே பண்ணிருக்கு.
லீவ் இல்லையா? இல்லையா? மழை பெய்ஞ்சுட்டே இருக்கா? ஏன் மற்றபடி போடுறாங்க? ரொம்ப சத்தம் கேட்டாங்க. எனக்கு ஒரு ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுங்க. இந்த ப்ராஜெக்ட்டுக்குலாம் இப்ப வந்து இங்கேருந்து வேற இன்ஸ்டிடியூட் போறாங்கல்ல, சிஎஸ்சி அதெல்லாம். அப்ப அவங்க வந்து அவங்க ஏதாச்சும் சில டாக்குமெண்ட்ஸ் வச்சிருக்காங்க, கைட்லைன்ஸ் வச்சிருக்காங்க. இப்போ நம்ம இன்னும் இல்லை ஏபிசியில் நிறைய பசங்க இன்டர்ன்ஷிப் நாங்க 6 months ஒர்க் பண்றாங்க அப்படின்னா, what kind of guidelines we should provide them in such a way that disclosing the result, authorship, இந்த மாதிரி கைட்லைன்ஸ் வந்து வேற இன்ஸ்டிடியூட் என்ன கொடுத்துருக்காங்கன்றது. ஆனா இப்ப நம்ம பசங்க எல்லாம் வராங்க, இங்க நிறைய பேர் வரையறாங்க. ஸோ இந்த கைட்லைனையும் கொடுத்து சைன் பண்ண சொல்லிடலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு, அது நம்ம உட்காந்து ஃப்ரேம் பண்ணாம ஏற்கனவே யாராச்சும் வச்சிருப்பாங்க இல்லையா, ஆதரவு. நீங்க சொல்ல வந்து இல்ல நான் என்ன சொல்றேன்னா, நீங்க எங்கிட்ட ஸ்டார்ட் பண்றீங்களோ அந்த டேட்டஸ் இதை பத்தி நான் நினைக்கிறது தான் நீங்க செய்யுங்க. அந்த டேட்டா சொன்னீங்கன்னா we are initiating this work or this data, right? So upon your willingness you can visit our lab at any time. The duration for the study is date to this date. But within that time is the problem. Yes. மண்டே ஆகுமா? மண்டேல இருந்து என்னைக்கு இன்ஜெக்ட் பண்ணுவீங்க? வெனஸ்டேவா? இந்த டைம்ல வாங்க அப்ளிகேஷன் டீடைல்ஸ் போலீஸ், அதுக்கப்புறம் இந்த டைம்ல இன்ஜெக்ஷன், இந்த டைம்ல ஸ்டடி முடிக்கணும். எதிர்பார்க்கணும் நெக்ஸ்ட் வீக் வேற அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து இந்த நான் என்கிட்ட சொன்னா கூட நான் கூட போட்டுப்பேன். நான் இன்வைட் பண்றோம் இல்லையா, இதெல்லாம் பண்ணுவேன். சும்மா எவ்வளவு ஆன் டியூட்டி போல, நீங்க ஆன் டியூட்டி போல கான்ஃபிடன்ஸ். அதுதான் ஒரு கம்பெனியோட
start only at 11:30.
Oh, okay. No, but I didn't do the same. Okay.
So what we will do, I don't know if it is 11:30. Yeah, no, it is not 11:30, but still, what we will do is we will try to break this down into premises, I mean, claim and premises, and we will sequence it such that the premises lead to the claim. And then we will write it on the board and then evaluate it. That means there is a task you have to write. டைப் இதில் எழுதிருந்தாங்க ஒன் நோட்டோ ஏதோ ஒன்று ஓப்பன் பண்ணி பெங்களூர் போனாரு விழுந்துருவேன்னு பயமா இருக்கு.
Then discuss, right?
Yeah, please.
Open book exam. You can use ChatGPT also. I mean, we can evaluate, right, whether ChatGPT is anything else.
You can now, right? So what you need to do is you have to read the passage and first tell what is the aim, what is it that the passage is trying to tell us, right? Or convince us, or what is it that the passage wants us to believe. That is the first step. Why does the passage tell that you have to believe it? What are the arguments that the passage gives so that you have to believe what the author is? Can you do that? Understood? Next.
How is this statement dramatically different from what we do in attributes like assertion and reasoning?
Assertion and reasoning.
Like in normal general aptitude questions, we have assertion and reasoning. So we offer different.
Yeah. So the idea in that is somewhat similar, except that I have not seen a passage in the aptitude question that goes into any rigor. There's no rigor in it. This one is lifted from a chapter, part of it, a few sentences from a chapter. NCERT textbook, 7th grade, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, we will write it down. Okay. Let's wait. Some discussions are going on. We'll start at 11:30. 4 minutes more.
To say this person is not valid. Because the laws are
Now, for this exercise, let us not go into counter premises, I mean, let's not say this paragraph is wrong, no, I don't believe, or evidence of this. If this claim is to be true, what are all the premises that is required to make this true? Okay, so, I mean, we are not, because maybe we know this, we are working in this field, we may have heard this, many other factual information we know, so we might even tell, no, this is wrong, I don't accept, this is false, right? We'll come to that counter arguments a little later. Now, we will assume that if the central message information that is given in this paragraph has to be taken, then this information which has to be conveyed is based on 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means this 1, 2, 3, 4 is required, some of which could be explicitly said in this paragraph, some could be implicit, something that is there in our mind. So we may have explicit statements, or premises, we may have implicit statements. So all this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is required. Only when this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is made, we will come to this conclusion. Then later on, I think Vignesh will take how to counter argue and find out the rest of the process. Okay. So it is, we are literally trying to do very slow the process of our thinking. Because we usually jump, because we know some facts, we just jump. Now what we are trying to do is trying to slow down and then see how we actually build, right? We actually arrive at the information or understand the information when we read or when we talk.
Like one general comment on previous things regarding what it's for general benefit. So the aspect of tallness and longest drivers, but generally I feel health condition, state of mind, energy level, the same person even can differ with respect to time.
Yeah. When there is a call from the PND office, we walk faster. I put this. Okay. So, what is the claim? So, first let us write what is the claim in the passage.
Unabated is doing something.
Come on. Despite advances in modern medicine. Anybody else? Any other take on what is the claim? Everybody agrees this is the claim? Okay, that is great. Yeah, I should say in spite of, right? It's not despite. Okay. Fine, ma'am. Is that the claim? Is that the claim? Are you sure? So okay, fine. So
how we know that now which is a claim? So if this paragraph a student reads or we check something like this, how to first know which is the message crux of this paragraph? How to know which is the crux?
We also say India has to focus on neglected diseases.
Madam, இந்த பேசேஜ் மட்டும் பேசுவோம் மேடம். அதுல நிறைய விஷயம் இருக்கு. சிஓஐ ப்ரொபோசல் பேசுவோம் அப்புறமா.
Very strong. I'm just telling you this point. I can also get the point in the same way, right?
Unpaid since independence problem. Independent. Since independent.
Oh, okay. I mean now, I will put like this. Now, many times we might have observed this in our students also, us also. When we read, we simultaneously use our own information also in what we read. But what is usually advisable is when we read or listen, We should only read what is written. We should only listen what is spoken. Right? We cannot use any other our own prior experience to this and then change. So that is what we are trying to do now. We are trying to make things very slow, stretching it the time scale so slow that we only focus on what is written. Right? Read only what is written. We will use our prior information, but only to the context of what is written, to support what is written. Not to make any arguments or evidences to say that this is wrong. Because that is what our mind processes it faster. And this is where when we evaluate our answer scripts also, this is actually related to examination also. That is why they lose marks. So they process so faster, and we would have made a comment. Did you read the question? You answered something. Did you read the question? Because the mind starts processing. So we will restrict to this paragraph. If this is the paragraph, what is the message? How to know what is the message first? Right? Do we agree that this is the message? If this is the message, why we agree this is the message? Why not the second sentence is a message or the third sentence is message?
But this paragraph we agree, and we are talking about the.
Yeah, this paragraph is given. We are not refuting this paragraph, but from this paragraph, why the message is only this major health problem? Why not the message is almost 2 million people malaria? I mean, how to know that the message is only this line? I mean, do we have any thoughts for that? I mean, why do we need to say this is the message? Okay, so one argument is others are reasons that lead to this sentence. Okay, anything else?
The general statement versus specific statement. That's a general statement. That's things.
Okay, so I mean, what I'm trying to do is how we will pass on this to our students or scholars, how to identify that what is the information from a paragraph. So one is general versus specific. So the general is usually the message. Some statements or reasons, the reasons lead to this. So what it leads to is the message. Anything else? So then that means, are we clear that this is the message that this paragraph will lead to?
Yes.
This is what the author is trying to convince us.
Right. So now if we agree, later on this itself can come wrong. It's a different issue. If we now agree, we have agreed on the paragraph, we have agreed that this is the message also of the paragraph. Now if this is the message of this paragraph, what statements should be there explicitly and implicitly in a reader or a listener that this message should come? All statements that should lead to this, right? Because now we cannot refute, because we have said this is the message we want to get. We have assumed that this is the message that is coming. I'm not saying that this message is correct or not. That comes in a little later part. Now, all statements that leads to this message is what let us write. Let us write the explicit first or implicit first.
Yeah, whichever comes, it is right. Or just say in some order, then we can reorder perhaps. Anything is fine. Two million people affected.
About malaria, not sure.
Yeah, correct.
Every year for about years, I don't.
Yes. First point, first premise, because of TB since independence.
first point is various issues like TB and first point, starting point. Then we talk about
Please slow and tell me so that I can type.
Major health problems include TB and malaria.
Include or are?
Include TB and malaria.
In India. I'm just typing whatever you say. I will not evaluate anything now. Whatever you say, I will type. We can have a students also. You can also add on. Where? Oh.
But still, that is not there for my. So you can take the. But then they have not. Over there, they have reported people.
Slow down, slow down. I'll just first write what. TB, malaria, etc. also you want? But what is the author saying? Okay, I'll just write whatever you say. Treat health problems. Am I correct? Have not or not effective in curing malaria and TB. So this is a premise or a conclusion? But we can break it down to premise and conclusion because that's an intermittent conclusion. No, maybe we should say premise, number of, what is that? Number of cases of malaria have not decreased. No, malaria is every year has been is 2 million every year and is not decreasing. Oh yeah, okay. Maybe we just add it here, premise there. We don't need this. So, this is a conclusion, right? Modern medicines are not effective in curing malaria and TB. And this conclusion we come from, if we call this as premise 1 and or rather premise 2 and premise 3, this is an intermittent conclusion based on P2 and P3. Can I say that? Whatever the passage is saying, we don't evaluate now. You have already started evaluating.
2 and 3, modern medicine. 2 and 3, I mean, do we think like modern medicines will directly come? 2 and 3 adding, will it come to modern medicine? TB, second one is TB, everybody is dying. And 3 is malaria. Adding 2 and 3, does it mean modern medicine is not working, or does it mean something else? Now, this is again evaluation, right?
Let me say modern medicine have been administered that are not clear to me as a premise.
No, that's an assumption that modern medicines are available or it is given to people who have infection. Evaluation of that premise is like something we will take little later. But first we have to say now these statements are required for this claim to be true first.
Okay, what I'm trying to give is not clear to me the writer was implying. I'm not getting the writer was implying.
Oh, okay. What else?
What are the modern medicines are reaching the people?
What is the wrong teaching?
That is not there.
That is also one of the. Not reading.
So that is why you think, okay, so to make that claim, you need to bring that premise is what you're saying. Somebody online has a question, please feel free to unmute and talk.
But 2 and 3 does it reach to this intermediate conclusion? I still 2 and 3 have just come to this. You should not have anything else. 2 and 3, can you come to this? Yeah. So it says 2 and 3 cannot come to this.
Which has to be included?
So 2 and 3, if you add, maybe I would say that it will just say that TB and malaria are not true. That's all it will say. It cannot say modern medicine is not there. Right?
You were saying something, modern medicine is not accessible. They are not reaching. Okay, now this is Dr.
If 2 and 3 is there, okay.
So how do we put this so that the final claim comes? So this part is clear. 2, 3, 4 looks like no, not 2, 3, 4 and IC 1, the intermittent conclusion 1. That seems to go together. How do we put the other premises such that it logically follows? The claim logically follows. Which one? Fifth one is not necessary. So do you agree that the fifth is not necessary? Which one?
But then you are contradicting, right? You are evaluating.
First, we will. What is the claim? For this claim, what should have been the premises? No, no. So these are independent premises. These are grounds. I mean, the empirical data. No, that doesn't matter. Yeah, 2 and 3 or 3 and 2 does not matter. But can we put the intermediate conclusion first before 2 and 3? I think you will agree, no. The conclusion before the premises? But okay, so it's a way of articulation, but essentially what you are saying is this is the evidence. So I look at malaria data, I look at TB data, and I see something, and based on this, I am concluding. Correct. Correct. So it is a matter of how you write. But the argument is the same, whether you write it first or later. So what you are saying is, if B is true and Q is true, then R is true. Something of the sorts is what you are saying, right? Whatever it is, this is the structure.
Last we were still and still last. Modern medicine is not reaching people. This device is there. What would be the case? Explain to the people, right? Modern medicine does not prove they will write. They will not write like that, right? I mean, do you think like if I say modern medicine is not reaching people? See, we are not countering the claim now. We are saying true based on the premise. If the modern medicine is curing TB and malaria, but modern medicine is not reaching people, so like 5 lakh and 2 million lakh. Okay.
That will support the.
No, no. Modern medicine is not reaching people. If this was there, will somebody write a conclusion? Modern medicine is not curing. If it is not reaching people now, since in spite of advances in modern medicine, it is not able to cure. Then this comes from not reaching people.
Even though we use modern medicine, it is not containing it, but already people are using.
Okay, so traditional medicine is being used and number is contained. If number is contained, yeah, so that is the premise. Yeah, if contained or pure, then we just again see that claim remain unabated. But then there is nowhere it is told that the other partner has reduced.
I'm seeing the author's motivate. Why do you want to make this statement? Because he is a traditional person who loves only the traditional way.
Correct.
He doesn't like any medicine to be imported. So
Fine.
he likes to.
Right. So, okay. So maybe then I think like this. Only the essential premises to support the claim should be written. We cannot write all other premises that are non-essential, which might change the narration of the paragraph.
But you have already told that
Implicit to be written, but without changing the narration of the paragraph. Okay, that is one premise.
So the modern medicine is coming into the action.
Okay, then
But it's not today. Therefore,
relationship is modern medicine is not.
No, that's fine. No, this is fine. This is fine. So, even many things are not
reducing the.
yeah. So, what I'm trying to again make all of us look at this, we should have, I mean, we can have 10 reminders also, right? But what is the bare essential implicit and explicit premises that the claim is to be true? Right, without changing the narration of the paragraph, the claim of the paragraph, what is the most or essential thing we should have? This we got. Right. We can keep on stretching like when you say it like modern medicines have been advanced to treat health problems. Otherwise, we can still get medicines are first made to cure disease. I can still write. Right. We can keep on decoding like this.
Also not convinced to add in the point number 6. The reason is many reasons like it's not affordable, the population is high. All these statements are not there in the paragraph.
Correct. Is it essential to arrive at the claim? We'll only think of that. Right. Is 5 and 6.
5 I was
Five is
still okay.
I mean, question, right?
No. If 5 is the statement accepted by the author, then the claim is wrong. If 5 is saying that the modern medicine wants to treat the health problem and he's accepting that modern medicine is the solution.
Okay, so okay, now I understand your wording.
If that is there, then the message itself confident. Are not so advanced to treat health problems. 6th,
Actually, not so advanced to treat all health problems. So many health problems are there.
and we read major health problems. Major health problems. That's it. Right. Major health problems.
But that is, this cannot be the premise for the statement, right? Because you have mentioned that in spite of advances in modern medicine, means that they can cure the problems like TB and malaria, according to the statement given. Then this cannot be true. This cannot be the
Not
premise.
so effective.
Yeah, the claim itself says in spite of advances in modern medicine, meaning there is advancements in modern medicine. That is given. That is your point, right?
So if you say it is not so advanced, it's not
That's a double because it's a. Okay, 5 and 6 illame, can you just rearrange and then see? Without 5 and 6, can we rearrange? Is this essential enough? I mean, where essential, go to the place.
Why intention is not needed, no? Why?
I mean, why am I going to write this paragraph? Oh, that I do not know. Yeah, but we are trying. That's not, somebody has given money to write this.
No, let's not worry about that. Let's not worry about that for now.
Either directly or indirectly.
Actually, maybe this is neutral, this is not clear intention.
We have to keep that away for now.
So I would say the idea is when we read, when we listen, are we trying to be sticking to what we read and what is spoken? Or are we using other information also to read it?
Let's bring that part now. I understand where you're coming from. This is evaluation. This is evaluation. You have evaluated already.
This can it go 1, 2, 3, 4? Can it go to this claim? That is what first we have to say. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can it come to this claim? I mean, where essential 1, 2, 3, 4 is required to make this claim.
Bare essential. Everybody agrees.
Yes.
Yeah, so now let us evaluate. And premise one, I think we don't have, or do you have? Okay.
Have been administered since independence. That is not there in the right.
But we need to make that here because the passage also talks about something about independence. So the assumption is since independence it has been administered, but there is no effect.
The cases are high. Modern medicines, the cases are high. It also conveys like this. Without modern medicine, independence line, the cases are high. During this period, the cases are high even with the modern medicine.
That is the point. That is what the author is claiming.
But doesn't mean modern medicines are administered since independence.
But unless you have administered, people would not have received the medicine.
That also is better administered, but the point is, in the statements, it mentioned that think independent.
So that means at least sometimes you have to then write data as per data available after independence.
Modern medicines have been administered since independence. The author doesn't say that.
The author does not say that. Agree on that.
Does not say that.
Yeah, it does not say.
That means you are making your own point here.
Do we need that? If we have to make this claim, is that essential? If you think it is not essential, is it not essential to say that it has been administered?
You're asking a claim and you're asking us to find the reasons and for it. That means it should come from the paragraph. It's not from our own view.
Implicitly, whatever is required also can be added. Bare essential.
From the paragraph, we have written a claim.
Yeah.
Then we have premise 1, 2, 3, 4. Two claim, whether the claim is true. That's what we have done. So,
அதாவது இப்ப 4 இல்லைனா, if 4 is not there, then can we make from 1, 2, 3, can we come to intermittent conclusion this statement without 4?
Can suggest this, if we go with others, the third point, right? Not decreasing since independence. I don't know if there is a modern medicine and since we doesn't say that modern medicines are administered since independence.
புரியல.
Modern medicines are administered and since independence paragraph இல்ல.
ஆமா இல்ல.
அது எப்படி கன்வே ஆகலது? இல்ல.
It's only for TV, so we can't include malaria.
No, I can also think in this space. Before modern medicine, after modern medicine, there is no change. That doesn't mean that from the independence of the giving modern medicine.
இல்ல.
Since independence, it doesn't say that it is coupled with modern medicine. The
No,
case doesn't change.
but in spite of advances in modern medicine says everything.
The case doesn't change. It is not coupled with the modern medicine.
இல்ல நீங்க அந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லைனோட சேர்த்து பாருங்க. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லைன்ல in spite of advances in modern medicine this number has not changed since independence. அப்ப என்ன அர்த்தம்? மாடர்ன் மெடிசன் வந்தது, அட்மினிஸ்டர் பண்ணினாங்க, டிக்ரீஸ் ஆகல.
So my point is, the number has remained unchanged.
Hmm.
But it could be because there are more cases, some cases are cured by models. The numbers are changed. That's also possible.
Yeah, so you have gone into evaluation. We are not still moving there. These are possibilities that we have to consider. The first point is, first thing is, do the premises lead to the conclusion? Bare minimal premises have we articulated it, implicit or explicit? We agree you are a science person.
Then we should say that the base data is before and after independence. We have data before and after. I mean, then also when the contention comes, independence does not change anything in the disease. It will come like that. So I do not think independence is the reason for disease. So never probably where crack this. I mean, then it is academic. Because otherwise we say that before independence also it is like this, after independence also like this. But modern medicine is there throughout before and after the 18th century. Then the claim would have come like independence does not change the disease. That is what we could cover. 18th century modern medicine is there. From 18th century modern medicine started. And now also the same disease, 18th century also the same disease. So then the conclusion should have come like independence did not change anything in the disease. So again we are not changing our again. If this is there, then author should have written that independence did not change malaria and TB.
Even though after independence, there's cases.
Yeah, but then the medicine should change or the independence should change.
Modern medicine இருந்தா கூட independent side of பார்த்த cases but keep up.
So the data of number of patients. Independence is a reference.
I think
Reference. Independence is reference. Independence is reference.
மேடம் அல்லிராணி மேடம் ஏதோ சொல்லணுமா?
இல்ல சார், ஆக்சுவலா அந்த ஒரு ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட், மாடர்ன் மெடிசன்ஸ் ஆர் நாட் எஃபெக்டிவ் இன் கியூரிங் மேஜர் ஹெல்த் ப்ராப்ளம்ஸ் அப்படின்னு ஒரு ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட் போடலாமான்னு தான் பிரமேஷ்.
அத பிரமிஸா கொண்டு வரணுமா?
கன்க்ளூஷனா போட்டுடலாமா?
கன்க்ளூஷன், அது கன்க்ளூஷன்.
ஓகே
ஓகே, அது இருக்கே மேடம். அதுதானே வந்து கிளைமே.
ஆமா.
Independence is one reference here. Number of patients.
Okay, okay, understood.
Okay, so now yeah, okay.
Despite of modern medicine is
Like in spite of modern medicine, general modern medicine, the modern medicine or development happen.
we are not going to say which we got 50 years so many years back.
Modern medicines advances இருந்த போதிலும் பிரதானமான நோய்களான டிபியும் மலேரியாவும் ஒவ்வொரு வருஷம் டிபியில் 5 லட்சம் பேர் இறந்து கொண்டிருக்கிறார்கள். இந்த டேட்டாவானது சுதந்திரம் அடைந்த பிறகு இருந்து நாம் சொல்லிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். சுதந்திரம் அடைந்த பிறகிலிருந்து
மாடர்ன் மெடிசின்ஸ் இருந்தாலும் நான் 1947 பாக்குற கேசஸ் இப்படியும் பாக்குறேன். இட் டசன்ட் மீன் தட் 1947 மாடர்ன் மெடிசின் இருக்குன்னு. தட்ஸ் நாட் 1947 கிடையாது.
இல்ல மேடம், மாடர்ன் ஓகே
இல்ல, there is no proof that it has been administered since independence.
பட் அத அஸ்யூம் பண்ண வேண்டாமான்னு கேக்குறேன் நான். அத அஸ்யூம் பண்ணா தானே நம்ம சொல்ல முடியும்.
அப்படின்னு பார்த்தா அவன் brought teaching people கொண்டு வரலாம். So maybe
it has no meaning actually. If you are removing that word since independence also, it has no meaning.
Since independence this number is now also it is
statement, since independence has been included as TB. Okay, for violence people die every year because of TB since independence. Right?
You can write since independence, that's all. 2 and 3 line just put since independence.
That is per year case count. And that
Here for how many years for malaria?
that year.
Important every year.
No.
Devices.
Implicit
Devices are required, right?
If writing is
This is what I see here. This is one short section from a textbook. Now, if we see every textbook, every PPT, every material that we give, then think enormous. This paragraph required 40 minutes for us. Assuming that we are living so much lyrics. Right? Then the title should be evaluation.
இது evaluation எல்லாம் பண்ணியாச்சு. So, I mean, the challenging part is this only. Then the evaluation, we are also super at it, right? No, argument is for progress. Argument here, we want to understand that it has to come, it has to tie up 1, 2, 3, 4, it has to tie up and lead to the claim. And bringing out that is the most challenging part. Once we are done, we can now evaluate it. And I think most of you have already found and have already evaluated. One of it is the denominator has not been set. Since independence, what is the population during?
Population.
So that means that 5 lakh people, that time it was 30 million, now it is 130 million. Right? So what does it mean? So that means now it is 5 lakh over 130 million. That time it was 5 lakh over 30 million, which means modern medicine has indeed helped. Now, the author is claiming that the major health problems remain unabated since independence, and he gives two evidence. One is the number of tuberculosis and the other is the number of malaria. But without paying attention to the denominator, now when you pay attention to the denominator, the evidence is now turning against the claim. This is one of the immediate evaluation that comes out, which is contradictory to the claim, what the author is saying. Irrespective of what the background is, context is, everything. This is a very stupid thing to do in a textbook, right? The second is the other implicit idea is here is somewhere based on just two data on TB and malaria, the author is concluding that all male, I mean, he does not, he is blanket saying major health problems remain unabated. So you gave two evidence and then you are making a claim on major health problems in India. What about polio?
5 lakh people die every year because of TB. In last 25 years. That's really a problem, right? I mean,
It is a problem. So you can see it in two different ways.
Not the denominator. Even 5 lakh. In spite of modern medicine, still 5 lakh people die. We need not to consider about the denominator. 2 million malaria cases are there. Is still the claim. Major problem is here remain unabated.
True. So you are attaching value to even if it is one life, it is value.
Not the life. 5 lakhs died, 2 million affected. In the last 75 years, even the major health problem in India remain unabated.
No, now that is where this point will come. For this only, this point will come, right? Like I say, is it because modern medicine did not cure, or did he first reach it to that place?
The modern medicine cure or traditional medicine cure, that does not make a difference. According to the statement, the advances in modern medicine, even though there is advances in modern medicine, every year 5 lakh people die, 2 million people affected by malaria, major health problems in India remain unabated.
I agree. But it should not be in spite of modern medicine. Health problems remains unabated because 2 million, 5 lakhs are in spite of modern medicine.
For example,
No, if we say in spite of modern medicine, then it means it says that as for modern medicine has not cured. But then that is what Ramakrishnan is saying, that did you first take modern medicine accessible to those people who are having it? We are saying that.
No, Naren. I think what Dr. Pillai is saying is, I will rephrase it in my own way. You may not agree. It is not effective.
Second phase is what I'm trying to tell. So it is certainly a health problem, full stop. But you cannot put the onus on the modern medicine. Because it could be now what Ramaswamy has said, because you didn't teach the medicine, so it is a health problem.
Modern medicine வந்தாலும் 75 வருஷமா 5 பேர் கட்டிட்டு இருக்காங்க.
Another health problem.
health problem தான்.
அவ்வளவுதான் agree. ஆனா modern medicine தான் health problem.
இல்ல அதான் முதல்ல சொல்லிட்டோம். என்னதான் மாடர்ன் மெடிசன்
Not about the health issue. Health issue is not decreasing even though we administer the modern medicine. That is what the concept. That is wrong.
போயிடும்.
Because compared to the modern medicine, only the number of cases is very constant. It is not increasing, right? That is what we are achieving. That is what we are achieving.
Medicine is it is health concern, but modern medicine has at least contained, it has not exponentially grown up like population. But health concern remains unabated. But putting this blame on modern medicine, then Ramaswamy
நீங்க
said
இப்போ மாடர்ன் மெடிசன்லாம் வந்தனால ஒரு 5 லட்சம் பேர் தான் செத்துட்டு இருக்காங்க. எப்படின்னா வந்து
correct. I agree.
என்னதான் மாடர்ன் மெடிசின் வந்தாலும் 5 லட்சம் பேர் செத்துட்டு இருக்காங்க. 2 பில்லியன் பேர் மலேரியாவோட அஃபெக்ட் ஆயிட்டு இருக்காங்க. மாடர்ன் மெடிசின் வந்ததுனால வெறும் 5 லட்சம் பேர் செத்துட்டு இருக்காங்க. வெறும் 2 மில்லியன் பேர் மலேரியாவால அஃபெக்ட் ஆயிட்டு இருக்காங்க.
வெறும் 2 மில்லியன், வெறும் 5 லட்சம் சொல்ல முடியாது. 5 லட்சம் இன் 130 பில்லியன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லணும். அப்படி சொல்லியிருந்தா ஓகே.
No, this is because I am agree. Because this side, the modern medicine is able to cure. It is not growing.
But Anna, the claim is not that. The claim is ulta, alla.
According to the authors, the author does not say that the number is contained.
But still it is not active. Last virus can also spread, right? They should be isolated.
Unabated is
Yeah, very good. So that's one more thing, that polio, you can finish.
Yeah.
Polio.
Modern medicine versus traditional medicine. Traditional medicine doesn't include modern medicine. First, see malaria. For malaria, I think map is online. For malaria, the drug is extracted from the traditional plant Chinese. So modern medicine includes the traditional medicine. They are not understanding that.
The way I would put it is what is modern medicine is not defined.
modern medicine includes allopathy and Ayurveda.
Well, what the author had in mind is not clear to us.
That's what I'm saying. This poor bad effect of
Based on extracting from a plant and taking the plant of activity. For example, common practice in some South American countries, when they know they're going, say, walking through the mountains and it won't be easy to carry a food for the journey, they are carrying coca leaves, chew on them, and it will have a very potent effect. They will be able to keep going. They will not have a health problem afterwards. But you extract something from the coca leaves and you take it as cocaine, then it's a very different matter. The coca leaves are not going to hurt you if you swallow them. The cocaine is. So this thing, I took it from the medicine from the plant. Well, whatever you're selling as tablet is not the same thing. You can't say just traditional medicine.
So let us go to South America for trekking. Okay.
These are not the only two diseases.
Hmm.
Right, there are diseases which got eradicated completely. Probably this become.
So one more point, The reason why the numbers doesn't change on the numerator or whatever it is, the author has pointed only the medicine, but medicine alone is not the reason. There are so many factors which is not discussed.
இவ்வளவு இருக்கு, ஆனா வந்து டெக்ஸ்ட் புக்ல இப்படி இருக்கு. என்ன சொல்றீங்க? This is the health chapter or science or medicine or something. That chapter, I forget what the chapter name is.
There is no need for those things. The DBT is new, right? About whatever the system which is followed in India. They always enough for a kid, maybe I don't know, for a 7th standard student. It's just want to give a layout of what is happening in the.
It's unfortunate you are not the textbook writer.
That should not be done like that.
You start talking in these movies.
சரி, இப்போ ஃபைனலா ஒரு டீச்சர் பார்த்து சார்.
டீச்சர் என்ன சொல்லி தரணும்?
Beyond the scope of this talk. Okay, so we have 10 more minutes. You want a heated debate? I just saw all the exercise. So that you want a very contradictory exercise, or you want a very simple, which you can easily try? I mean, next example, which you want Vignesh to show. You want something that people boil, that all of us will fight, or you want something which is
Einstein example teaching. That's all. No.
This is exciting. Read all of them.
Don't beat me. I have another passage also, but finish this, then we'll see that. I mean, we don't have time.
Yeah.
But do we want to?
The next step is not boiling. That is in flavor. I want to boil in that.
I agree, sir.
Okay, so that is fine, but we should not say I agree or disagree unless we have written down the premises, evaluated, and then only we agree or disagree. Naren, let's not do the exercise, but let's have a freewheeling discussion. So this we have done. We are closing the session. Thank you for coming, though. So we have seen this. Okay, this is what some aspect of critical thinking, critical reading, or whatever you want. There is a thinking process that goes on. The first step is this. The toughest step is this logical premises, listing out the premises, and then seeing whether the premises follow to the claim, and then comes evaluation. So this is the structure of critical reading. If we agree to this, now the next question is. Although he said it is out of scope, how do we take this to the students? So when I say how do we take this to students, there are two aspects. One, the pedagogical strategies that we will adopt. I am not interested in that now. But what we need is the content. Right? We need the content before we think of the pedagogical strategy to take it to the students. Can we create a repository of such passages, such claims from our own domains and create a repository? That way, we can sort of, the NEP talks about higher order cognition. Let us forget about NEP. But if we are convinced that this is something, an ability that our students should have, we cannot always take such passages. Right? We also need them to get into because that is what is possible for us within the classroom. Right? So can we identify such small passages or big passages or claims and elucidate all the premises, evaluate those premises, and create small lesson plans. If we can do that and create a repository, then that is going to be sort of, what to say, it's a model that others can also take it up and do. Now, the limitation that I have now is the domain expertise that we have. I mean, there's a limitation because one person cannot do for every domains, and I have a limitation in my own domain also. So we need to do this as a collective activity. So this is an open call, and I think the TLC head will create some repository for that.
Take note from that. That's what I think I have already forwarded. Okay, so I've already forwarded the STL call for articles. Maybe I think it's not only the classroom practice. I think STL can also post. To begin with, there is not wait for next semester and all. Think of any small concept, right, which I have to suppose go and explain to the class. I need a paragraph or information and supported by this reminder. This is how I should tell to convey this idea, right? If we can send that and maybe they can wait, and if that comes in STL, that can motivate. This can be a compendium of examples, and later on we can curate all the such examples and then post it. Because if we need our own peers to also develop it, they need examples, right? I mean, just like that, these examples is okay. It may inspire them today. Tea got digested. That's all fine. But then I have to go to class and then teach what there in the syllabus. I need certain examples. So if we can provide such examples, we'll just curate it, then later on bring it under different domains or subjects or everything else, that somebody can take that and just use in the class. See, everybody, I mean, what I think is everybody cannot instantly create. But at least if it is made available, I can use it in the class first, so that I will then get trained, and then maybe I will also create and then put it in the repository. So that means if you have in your own subject any small concept where you want to bring out like this paragraph, say that what are all the implicit, explicit premises, and maybe write in a fashion that this explicit premises which is there in the statement alone is not sufficient. You need more. What are those? And something like this. I think this can become an example and we can have it. So I think, I mean, in TLC, I mean, because this is like for TLC, as of now, I am starting very flat. There is nothing like structure, nothing, no rules, no regulations. This is not how we have to. I just want to make it as a very collaborative participant. Let it form how it falls, and then later on we'll see all structure, imposing, and everything else. So that's why let us collect such examples. You can share if you are able to write to the STL email ID.
Right. Thank you. Any comments, suggestions, questions we can have, and then.
I have one question. The premise is fine, claim is fine. The evaluation, do we have some rubrics for evaluation? And
The evaluation for the premise
for the claim.
So in that
No,
case,
there is no rubrics.
It's accepted, not accepted. That's all right. It's logical only, right? Because all these are logical statements. They are either true or false. Directly. There is nothing like percentage of true.
As a student, are we supposed to look at the bigger picture and infer from the para, or just look at what is given?
So,
Cheatings.
okay.
What do you think? Yeah.
No, but at the end when the malaria and TB case, we didn't come to a conclusion and we followed it. But if that's in the exam, let's just support. So how am I supposed to answer? I'm still confused. Is it necessary to see the bigger picture?
No, in an exam.
Yeah, like if so.
Forget about exams.
Now, as a student, you think looking at all of this help you to be a better person or not?
Yes, it did. I'm more inclined towards thinking now, but
That's all. Yeah, question is. No, answer. I don't know. He should not answer.
To me, yes. Something is there still not clear to you. What?
We didn't conclude, like, are we supposed to look at the other factors? Like,
Yes, yes. So once you articulate the premises that leads to the conclusion, you are going to evaluate, and finally you are going to either accept the claim, reject the claim, or put it aside for further scrutiny because there are certain things that are not clear. That is the final step. So if you want, I can I'll go back to this process that I listed. What justification does the passage advance? Is the justification sound? Are there considerations not there in the piece of writing? And finally, we either accept, reject, or set it aside for further scrutiny. So in that case, it was very clear. No? In the TB case, it was very clear, or at least to me, it was clear that I will reject the claim. No other. Huh. You want more? We did not look into the types of reasoning. So primarily we are focused only on deductive reasoning. So there are other types of reasoning, inductive reasoning, abductive reasoning. All these stuffs are there, still more. And from there, we need to move on to how knowledge is constructed, what is knowledge. So that is a bigger thing. And then what is common across disciplines, across pursuits. So in science, how it is, in mathematics, how it is, in philosophy, how is it, in engineering, what is the focus. So these are things that there are a lot of other things that we can look. But reasoning is the crux in across all disciplines.
I mean, maybe with this, is different domains really different? I mean, like, is like history different from math different from biology different from physics, something like that? Or there is a common thread among all this? I do not know the answer. I don't know what Vignesh also answer, but this is what like something we need to know. Is there something which is common thread in all this?
Is there a commonality across disciplines? There are variations that we know, but is there a commonality across disciplines? So that is something that we have to, on the concept also. So if you take, for example, the word system, we use biological system. You also use system. Do we mean the same system? So there is a concept called a system, which has something that is same, that is used in engineering systems and biological systems. So what is system? Such that cell is a system, aeroplane is a system, this chemical reactor is a system. So concept-wise also there are commonalities. Now, what is that process that is common is the question, is the pursuit that we need to undertake.
each domain has their own knowledge development. Your knowledge is to be familiar. If it is familiar, we can connect it.
I'm glad you see the commonality. Not many have that gift.
No, instantly I was remembering archaeology. I mean, you told that. If 100 people tell in archaeology, that is fine.
Yeah.
In physics, it's not fine.
Yeah.
In archaeology history, right? 10,000
No.
people would say something. But this Satan has one evidence. In physics or whatever in the science that we practice, 10,000 people telling something, it means nothing.
So that is the difference that you're talking about in the terms of the process. The epistemic norm for history is different. Where in history we take verbal as evidence, whereas in science we don't take verbal thing as an evidence. So these are differences. But the commonality is in terms of the reasoning process. One of the commonality is the reasoning.
Knowledge system is right?
So that is history is different. History's norms are different. Scientific inquiry norms are different.
Like assumptions are there. Because that's the process is involved, right? We need evidence to claim or convince a fact.
No, but the nature of, see, in verbal, it is not evidence. I mean, you can count that as a ground. Yeah, in such cases, history becomes is a kind of a scientific inquiry. That I will agree. But if you look at Max is different, right? You don't need evidence for it. You take axioms, right? Axioms, what is axiom? You cannot say this is axiom. I mean, you cannot say evidence is axiom. So the nature of the mathematical inquiry is different. Philosophy is very different. Value system, that's very different. But within science, whether it is physics, biology, chemistry, there are commonalities. And across physics, science, maths, and philosophy or whatever, reasoning is a common thread.
One more just to think that is always said, for maths, they don't need any real life experiment. You don't need only anything to be existing in any world. Right? It is completely and construct still also maths can be valid. But other subjects, everything starts from real. Can't have an unreal thing and then it starts. I mean, it starts primarily from observation. But maths, there's nothing. There's no.
Science is more of the physical senses. From the physical senses, what we get, and based on that, how are we interpreting, making sense of the knowledge. Whereas maths is all about constructing worlds, constructing logically possible worlds. So that is the difference. It is not. It doesn't have to correlate with anything in the real world.
But you're a chemist, right?
What do you say?
So I will tell something for all chemist meeting, I'll come and tell you. We will create a hot session like this.
Okay.
At least slide 22 you can show. Yeah. And the link of
So this is an online annual course that is conducted by Think, and it's free to register. As of now, it is over. But here they give us some idea of some of the. அவ்வளவுதான் இது முதல் அப்போ என்ன இருக்கு?
I just want to show that website and that link.
இதான் வெப்சைட்.
Website.
Oh. How do I change that?
And நீங்க ஷேர்ல என்ன ஷேர் ஸ்கிரீன் இல்ல விண்டோ.
Yeah, so this was something that Mohanan and Tara had put together as a course, and this is something that I attended in 2015, and my journey started there with them. Where this, sorry.
What's the name?
Mohanan and Tara Mohanan. They were theoretical linguists. So then they, out of their own passion, they studied different disciplines, and then have condensed some of their understanding as a course, from which this is one thing that I took away. ஆமா இதான் ஹோம் பேஜ். என்ன வேணும்? என்ன வேணும்?
இல்ல எங்க இந்த போன் clicking photograph looking down. I said you can just show that it is there here. That's fine.
Okay. So this is one, and they also have a intro to research thing. This is a set of YouTube videos that they have posted along with sorry, I'll get back with the right URL. So under resources, they have everything, or courses, maybe intro to research. Yeah. So this is free, available online, new course content. We can go and look at all these chapters that they have written. And this is useful in terms of, at least for research students, to understand all these different things, the reasoning, the norms of inquiry, and all that they would have discussed. So this is something, if you are interested, you can take it forward. So is that all, Naren? Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for those who joined online also. Thank you.